Hey everybody, it's Mark Dolfini, Landlord Coach. I am out enjoying an amazingly beautiful day here in Indiana. They are rare. So I figure I'd come out here and shoot a quick video. I get a lot of people that ask me specifically about if I think that multifamily is the way to go or if single family dwellings are the way to go in terms of investments. And the answer is yes. Okay, and you know, if you've been following me, you know how I'm going to answer this. It really depends on your vision for the future and really what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But in terms of returns, here's a couple of things that I want you to think about in terms of returns. Right now, as I'm sitting here, it's late spring in 2019. Multifamily is on fire. Everybody loves multifamily, and everybody's trying to get into multifamily. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad investment or a bad idea, but one of the things that I often see when it comes to multifamily investments is that people almost always underestimate their vacancy expense. Now, I'm calling it vacancy expense because it's a very real expense, and you can go broke if you do not get a handle on your vacancy. You know, when you understand the concept of renting property, you really don't rent property, you sell time. You sell blocks of time in your unit, and once that time is gone, that's stale inventory that you're never going to be able to get back, right? You can't repurpose that lost time that you have. You can't repackage that, unfortunately. Once that time is gone, it's gone. So the thing that I really love about single-family dwellings, and that's why I've been a single-family dwelling investor almost primarily, is most people, at least in my area and what I've seen across the United States, lots of people really like and fall in love with the occupancy rates of single-family dwellings. And a lot of times you can even have one person moving out the back door while someone else is moving in the front door, and you get the painters going on in the middle and then the cleaners going behind them. But I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not really. I mean, you get the occupancy rates are really something to fall in love with on a single-family dwelling. So now every location is different, obviously, and of course we are evolving towards a population, a very significant population, that really likes to have the flexibility of living close to urban centers, which really favors more of the multifamily use, the multifamily investments. But here's one thing that I'm going to say, and I know that this may change over decades, but right now, I had an opportunity to live in a multi-family complex for a short period of time while we were waiting on this other property to be finished. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of sharing walls anymore. Right? Like, I feel like I have gotten to a point in my life where I don't want to share walls with people, and I feel that there's probably a significant portion of the population that's also like that. So that necessarily doesn't mean that I want to live, may not necessarily want to live in a city center, but I don't want to share walls with people, and I may want to have a small patch of grass, or to garden or do whatever it is. Now, I hate mowing grass. I just hate doing it. I grew up in upstate New York, and that's what we did as kids to make money. I am completely over that. So I got that out of my system. But one of the cool things is I really want to make sure that as I am continuing, we got a choo-choo train coming behind me. This is the coolest thing. So when you're making those investments, that's what you really need to be thinking about is who are you going to be, who's your market going to be. And the one thing I really like about single-family investment primarily is that when you go to sell that property, when you go to divest that property, you're not just looking for an investor to buy the property, you're actually looking, you can actually market that property to a single-family home buyer who wants to live in the property, as well as an investor, right? Where when you have a multifamily unit, and the more multifamily units you have in a location, it can get more and more difficult because you do decrease the number of buyers. Now, right now, buyers are really hot on multifamily, so it's easy to get find a buyer for those. But just keep in mind banks sometimes get a little wonky on actually giving financing on multifamily. They don't want to give just any buyer financing just because they want to be in multifamily. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily gonna operate that asset particularly well. So there's lots of different things to think about. So kind of ramble around here a little bit, but I want to make sure that you understand there is a significant difference between the two investments. And I think primarily, especially for somebody that's trying to get into it early, one single family home, I think it's just going to be a little bit easier to manage than getting into your first multifamily. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying that if you're wanting to start small, you can start with one single family home and then scale from there if that's what your investment objective is. Okay. Please remember to place a value on your free time. Remember, if you don't place a value on your free time, someone else will, and there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. So please make sure, value your free time, get white space on your calendar, and have a great rest of your day.